Good morning. How are you? Pretty cold out today. Today I'm allowed to walk at my regular speed because it's a week after my cataract surgery. Tomorrow I see my ophthalmologist so he can set me up to do my right eye. Anyhow, as best I can tell as an inexpert amateur hypochondriac, I think it worked out well. My eyesight's really good. I got it so I could see things close. Now, what about the nation? I guess there are really only two stories that occupy our interest. One is the pandemic out of control without any surcease in its destructive efforts. Highest number of infections yesterday, I believe, and the highest number of deaths. No matter how much we tell Americans to be safe, they won't be. They just go out and do things. I don't understand it. And maybe it's just because I spend a lot of my time kind of as a hermit, writing, reading. But I think I'm as social or more so than others, so I don't understand it. I do think that we adapt better as we get older. And that's the key to getting older, I think, but it's also the key to surviving on a day-to-day basis. So you guys out there, you just watch your neighbors who are careless and they're prepared to risk their lives because they're fatigued, bored with the pandemic. But that doesn't affect the pandemic. The pandemic is always there. The second story is the pardon story. I basically said what I had to say about the subject, but there are these different developments. We find that Trump is, in fact, considering pardoning basically his family and Rudy Giuliani. There are a couple of things about that. I've already said I think it's unconstitutional. The question is, do we have a court that would enforce it if it was tested? And our Supreme Court is a doubtful institution for getting a fair and proper reading. Pardons, to be effective, have to specify the offenses, I think. It's not enough to just say any crime during this period of time that was a federal offense, but that may be what they try to do. The flip side of that is that any one of them can be compelled to testify after that. And I guess they think nobody will do it, but I think it's highly possible. The latest development is kind of interesting, which is those who are involved in this bribery for a pardon scheme. And they released a document yesterday, which is fairly opaque, meaning there's so much marked out, you don't get the full story. But I've read it a couple of times, and you can get it online, either the court website or the newspapers, the Post, the Times. The 20-page document tells us the following things. A law firm, and I'm thinking has to be a law firm representing people who need a pardon, so it's probably could be the Joint Defense Law Firm. And these are my hypotheticals based on what makes sense. They apparently used an intermediary who was perhaps a lawyer, but not a subordinate, and not recognized as an agent for the law firm, or at least that was the argument the Department of Justice made. And this intermediary's job in connection with the bribery was to make a contribution to get a pardon. Now, they don't say this, at least not in the parts you can read, but if you're going to get a pardon and you can only get it from the president, who do you think should be getting the contribution? They say in the papers that were disclosed by the court that there was contact made to the White House counsel's office, which makes sense, and to other people who handle pardons. Now, if that contact is made, the bribery isn't very effective unless somewhere in a discussion with someone you say, you know, we're going to give a fortune to the campaign, or we could, or, you know, one of those things. We'd like to give you a favor, a quid pro quo, to borrow Ukraine language. Yet the Department of Justice says they have no subject or target. So how could it be true that there's a pardon that they're investigating connected to a bribe, and there's no subject in the investigation, meaning a person they think could be involved, and there's no target, meaning we have enough information to indict him or prosecute him? And there's a way to dance through those words, because the application to the court was to use what some might consider attorney-client information to ask people about the substance of those conversations, and that is with the intermediary. They notice that the intermediary is about to go into the Bureau of Prisons. It's on one of the pages. And I wondered if it was Cohen, because he went in May of 2019, and this argument before the court is in August of this year. I don't know that. They don't name the person. Everything's blotted out. But I suspect until they could interview people, they might thinking they couldn't identify who the subject and the target was. So there'll be more details in the days ahead, probably especially after Barr leaves the Justice Department. It's kind of interesting to have him be one of the final voices saying, oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with this election. So I think this was a game of chess. Trump is finally checkmate, meaning his piece falls on the board and he goes out the door. And the only question is what kind of damage he can do to us, and what kind of